sure that it is specifically for rabbits and not kitty litter. You want to make sure it is safe for your small animal as well. It can also be for ferrets, which are similar.
All right, cool. I think, oh, speaking of like the litter stuff, so like his water, we give him, just tap water and try to make sure it's full. Um, I guess, I don't know, is there anything I should know about the water stuff situation?
I do actually. Since I noticed that you have actually done really great as well on your cage, you kept the water on the opposite side of his, you know, bathroom area. His food is actually placed in the middle as well. That's good because you want to keep away from that specific comfort area and not be in any infections prior, to moving it around his cage.
Okay. Oh, you know what I thought of like too? So, cleaning it, like how often should we be cleaning it?
His bedding.
Yeah, like the whole cage.
Okay, for his bedding, I would try to keep it clean at least. Some rabbits they don't urinate and produce feces in their bedding quite often. So doing a litter box would be great for that reasoning. But if you don't have a litter box or they don't like using a litter box, I do recommend cleaning their pen at least once to twice a week, depending on how much they do produce. Sometimes they actually like to move and hide their feces as well. So you always want to check it every other day just to make sure it's not overproduced inside of the cage and make sure it's not hidden. Because I know how sometimes they like to burrow. Sometimes they will kick their own bedding over their feces. So 1 to 2 times a week would be recommended to keep a good, clean husbandry for the rabbit and a nice area for them to actually be in most of the day.
With like, the cleaning thing also, we noticed that he likes to dump his food over. And my son put the food back in the food dish from the floor. I think he picked the poop out, but I'm not 100% sure. Is that okay if he does that?
So if they do toss their food over and it is in bedding, and you think there is feces possibly inside of that food, honestly, I would just try to scoop up as much food in that area you can, or you can leave it. I don't recommend leaving it. Some people just choose to leave it, thinking that the rabbit will pick it out of their feces. I don't recommend that. Just try to scoop up a little bit of as much as food as possible. It can be contaminated with feces, even though they do eat their own cecotrophs and they eat their own feces. It's okay. So what I do recommend is putting their bowl in a certain area, their feed bowl in a certain area. Some rabbits are picky. Now, since he is kicking it over, I'm kind of curious on maybe he's just, I don't want it in that area. Maybe I'm not happy with my food. I would just first start by moving his food around in certain areas, see if he kicks it over anymore. Has he been moving his food around at all?
We found like sometimes we put it in a certain spot, it'll be a different spot the next day, or sideways or upside down. So we're not sure. It tends to be in the same spot every time. So we kind of try to put it in that spot where he put it at, like where it's at right now. That's kind of where he likes it.
Has it seemed to be working a little bit more? Like he's not moving it as much?
Yeah, not as much. I mean, we think he just gets bored, so he wants something to play with. But for the most part, I mean, we've noticed it less since we put it there.
Okay, so I would just constantly try to keep it in that one position. Reminder, always try to keep the same food, his water, his litter box. If you tend to want to train him for a litter box, always put it back in the same area that they are used to or they recommend themselves. So, for instance, your food bowl, he keeps moving it himself. Try to put it in the area that he likes to push it to or kick it to. But again, try to keep their bedding minimal to what's comfortable for them. Try not to go overboard with the amount of bedding. It can be wasteful. On top of that, it could be uncomfortable for them to have such a fluffy surface. And also keep everything in the same spot as usual so it doesn't confuse them as much and it makes them more comfortable knowing that they know where everything is placed inside of their home.
Okay.
And did you have any other questions?
What about like toys or things? Do you think rabbits like to play with things like cats or dogs?
Sometimes they actually like to play with little soccer balls. Eat the little shakers, grab it on their teeth, maybe they like to chew on yarn. So I'd be careful with that. I have seen a lot of patients with yarn chewers.
Would that be bad?
Um,
But would that be bad for their tummies or anything, like the yarn?
If they ingest it, I would assume
Yeah.
so. That's why we recommend Timothy Hay. It has the same texture based on yarn, especially hard, solid yarn, not the soft like stuff that we sew with. I do recommend buying the hard yarn. Make it like a chew toy. Make sure you're keeping up with watching that every day throughout the day. You want to make sure they're not tearing it apart and ingesting it. If so, it should be in their cage if they tear it apart. If it is not, be on the edge. If you start seeing abnormal behavior, you want to come to the vet office. Obviously, we want to check that out. Make sure there's nothing blocking his intestines and his stomach or anything like that. We want to make sure he's in the best health as possible.
Okay. I think you've answered all my questions.
Okay.
So,
Well, I do say that Mr. Dusty here was a wonderful patient. Calm as can be, not making any squeaky noises. He seems to be in really good health as what I've seen and observed. Also, I do recommend, since this is an educational visit, I do recommend that he comes in within the next 2 weeks to actually come in and get an actual physical exam, make sure everything is moving properly, see that you've actually been doing what you're supposed to be doing, as in taking care of him, his husbandry, his diet, as well as his health. We want to get a good exam on him just because he is new to the family. Make sure there's no ectoparasites or anything going on with him. Just to make sure he's in really good health.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Not a problem, Tammy. It was nice to meet you. I
You
appreciate
too.
it.
Yeah.
And I hope they see Dusty soon here at our office.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Not a problem. Thank you.